Hello fellow flight simmers, once again. Welcome aboard. This time you're going to join me on a flight over Southern California, but this time using Forkboy Ortho instead of Orbx True Earth, Southern California. So we're starting off in Burbank, and my plan is to fly south, kind of west along Hollywood, and then go southbound over LAX, continue southbound through Torrance, all the way down to basically Long Beach and the harbor, and then we'll do a loop around there, continue by Long Beach Airport, and we'll go southbound towards Seal Beach, then go northbound from there all the way up past by those hills over by the 60 freeway, then go eastbound, and then right about Pomona we'll go over the Pomona little airfield there, then we'll go west all the way alongside the mountains until we finally make it back over to the LA area. We'll go by the Pasadena Rose Bowl, head down towards downtown LA over Dodger Stadium, and then we'll head northbound again where we started, and then land at Burbank once again. And the reason I'm doing this is because some of you guys know that after I got Orbx Tour Southern California, I was kind of disappointed with the Long Beach Harbor area. And I remember when I installed Forkboy Ortho before, it seemed to look pretty damn good. So that's why I'm doing this now. So I'm gonna start up the little jet here. Once again, the Viper jet. I really like this jet because not only is it really fast, but it's really stable to fly it, and then also when you look out the sides, there's no obstructions. You have a very nice view out the sides, and obviously that's good for watching scenery. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off here in Burbank and get on our way. As we go down the flight, I'm gonna be posting the picture of that map showing the progress approximately, the sector we're gonna be flying at that time. So people that are familiar with Southern California will obviously know exactly where we're at, probably at all times. But for those of you who are not too familiar, at least this will give you some indication of what part of the area we're flying in at the time. And before I forget, because I always do forget, so I'm running Xplane 11. This is the 1150 beta 9. I am running that Forkboy Ortho California, and this is I think this is it's not a payware, but it's a free custom Burbank airport here. And I also have the Mr. X6 KLAX HD, and I'm also running the Mr. X6 SFD Global, which is his brand is Short Final Designs. I think that guy is amazing, and pretty much I buy everything that he makes if it's available for Xplane. So right now I see that that package is $30 in the store in the Xplane.org, but in my opinion it's totally worth it. It gives you a lot of little buildings, all the little houses that you're gonna see with the pools in them, and the trees that look much more realistic, the freeway signs. It's all included in that package. And that airplane right there is not on VATSIM, it's live traffic. So that is an actual aircraft that is landing at Burbank right now. So we'll just wait for him. And before I forget, once again, my computer is a Core i7 8700K Intel processor, of course, and it's overclocked to 5 gigahertz. I am running 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. It's Nvidia 1080 Ti video card, and a whole bunch of SSDs. One Nvme SSD for Windows and Xplane, and then 3 other ones for the scenery. And once again, these are the settings that I'm running. And it's very important to note that in order for the Forkboy Ortho scenery to look this good, you have to be running at maximum number of world objects, or at least high. If you have it on medium, it's going to be a lot more plain. You're not going to see as many you know, houses and buildings and everything. So let's do the takeoff roll here and get on our way. The one thing that I will note is that a lot of times when like when I was comparing Orbx to Earth, you know, there is a lot more custom buildings, so you'll see a lot of the big warehouses and a lot of different things that are at certain locations. It is a lot more accurate on Orbx True Earth. The only thing that I was really disappointed in was the Port of Long Beach and the Port of LA. There just seems to be no 3D objects in that area. And when we get there, you know, you'll see with this one that there seems to be a lot more of that in that particular area. But I can't even describe how amazed and wowed I am. I'm such a dummy for not trying this earlier, even though I had already attempted it one time, but I didn't actually do it until the day before Orbx released Southern California, and then I removed it. But I downloaded it again just to make this video because like I said, I keep saying it over and over, I was really pleasantly surprised with how good this looked. Maybe the combination of maybe the combination of the Forkboy Ortho with FSD Global is what makes it look so good. But so right now we are coming up through the first area of our flight here. So we took off of the airport here, we made our right crosswind and then our right downwind, and we broke off of that on a 45. We're about to head over the hills here by the 101 freeway, which is right there underneath us, and we'll be approaching over Hollywood. Then we're gonna make the right turn and go alongside the mountains towards Santa Monica. The Orbx mountains, they do seem to be a little bit more like detailed and more sharp, but these are actually pretty good too compared to just stock. And you'll see that once we go over to the east side of the tour here, you'll see a lot of the hills and the mountains, and hopefully you'll agree with me that they are very good. Sorry about all the Discord pinging. I always forget to mute that before I start recording, so throughout this video you're going to be hearing the Discord messages coming in, so I apologize for that. So these right here, this is the oil fields of Culver City that are on our left wing. It's just a bunch of hills where they do petroleum digging out there, and they don't have the tanks on them. They actually do have some tanks, but I don't see that they show up here. And that's the 405 freeway here, coming up over the Mr. X6 LAX HD. There's the Marina Del Rey right there on our wing. So now we just flew over LAX and we're continuing down. We'll follow the 405 freeway, which is right there, right in front of us, a little bit to our right, and we'll continue southbound. I always try to make these videos as short as I can, but sometimes when I'm trying to cut out parts, I just see so many nice areas that, you know, that I find pretty worth showing, that I just, you know, leave too much in there. Hopefully you guys don't mind. There's Torrance Airport right there, which is also the stock Xplane airport. So you can see a lot of these big buildings and warehouses in the Ortho. They do look pretty good at this altitude, but there's no actual 3D buildings that like there is with Orbx. I'm trying to stay pretty low to the ground too, so that you can see that even at low altitude, you know, it looks pretty good. Obviously when you're at high altitude it looks very good, it looks very sharp, but sometimes the important thing is when, you know, you're coming into land. And I'm pretty sure that if I didn't have SFD Global on it, it probably wouldn't look as good. See all these tanks right here, they just look like the pictures, there's no actual tanks there. On the Orbx one, there is a lot of the refineries that do have the actual tanks there, so it looks a lot more realistic. So now we're coming up on the port of Long Beach here, which is the area that I was very disappointed about Orbx. With this product here right now, it seems like there is a lot more stuff in the port, which is also not entirely realistic because there is not a lot of trees and a lot of houses here, but it does look a little bit better than just nothing there. You know, so overall I like the way it looks more, even though it's not realistic. But a lot of the rest of it almost does look exactly the same as the Orbx because there's nothing in it but, you know, printed picture, which is the ortho image. And if anybody decides that they do want to install, you know, this, I did make another video right before this one about how to install it. It's not that difficult. There's a few steps required. There is a conversion process, but if you watch that video or other videos that are on the internet about that on YouTube, they probably go into a lot more detail. But the way I laid it out is pretty much the steps you need, and it's really a piece of cake. Like I said before, I just wish I would have done this a lot sooner, so I could have been enjoying this scenery for many months before Orbx came out with Southern California. I'm also using a program called Xorganizer, which lets you enable and disable sceneries or plugins or aircraft or anything. You know, you just have to click on the little box, so it makes it a lot easier to be able to switch between different scenery packages. Or if you think that an airport is causing you a problem, you just disable it and you start up Xplane again, and then basically you run the scenery without that Xplane aircraft there or scenery package. So this is the 710 freeway in the Los Angeles River. Actually no, that's the 103 right there that goes into Terminal Island. I'm pretty much flying right now right over where I work, where my office is located, which is where my wingtip is right now. So it's kind of cool. And the boats right here, you see they're just pictures. There's no actual 3D ships. Like at least on the Orbx one, you could see the big dome where the Spruce Goose used to be, and the Queen Mary is an actual ship. And right here is just a picture. So that part of Orbx is definitely better than this one here. And also downtown Long Beach is a little bit, the buildings are realistic on Orbx. They actually look like the hotels and buildings that are there. They actually look like what they look like in real life. So Signal Hill right here on our left wing, it also looks much better in Orbx. This is a pretty plain Signal Hill. I think that if I was flying at, you know, pretty close to ground level, I could see that it is a hill, but it doesn't look as realistic. So now we're gonna turn to the east. We're gonna pass by Los Alamitos. We're gonna pass by the Long Beach Cal State University Performing Arts Center, which is that blue triangle looking pyramid thing, and then we're gonna pass by the power plant that is down here. Once again, that power plant on Orbx, it does look a lot better. So everything that is like custom buildings, custom refineries, power plants, it does look better on Orbx because they actually put custom buildings there. So right here you just see the picture, you know, you don't see the actual structures or tanks or anything associated with it. But if you're flying high over this area, you won't even know the difference. It still looks pretty good. Sorry if I keep repeating the same things over and over, but just trying to point out the differences in each area. And a lot of times it brings the same words to mind when I'm trying to describe it. So now we're coming up on Seal Beach, and all this wildlife, like basically there's just like wetlands, I guess you could say. They look pretty good here on this Forkboy Ortho scenery too. Too bad the waves don't move. They're just like pictures painted on the water there. Alright, we'll make our turn northbound again so we can start heading inland and go check out some other hills and areas. I think I'm already running out of things to say, and I'm only 15 minutes into the video. I think it's gonna be about 26 minutes if I'm not mistaken. So now we're heading northbound here. We're passing over, I guess it would be like Norwalk, going up along the 605 freeway. Those hills up there, I think, is the Whittier Hills, somewhere near approaching Pico Rivera. I read a blog from the Xplane developers that the next thing they're working on for the 1150 beta is getting rid of the blurry textures. It was kind of funny when they were talking about that, because they said, of course, the point of improving the frame rates was not to trade it for blurry textures. So that's something they're going to be working on. And I have noticed it sometimes that when you look into the distance as you're approaching an area, it looks blurrier than it used to look, but when you get there, it's usually pretty sharp, by the time you're flying over it. But it would be kind of nice if it didn't look blurry, at least not so blurry when you're looking at it at a distance here. So right now we're flying pretty much along the 60 freeway, the Pomona Freeway, going eastbound again. This is probably the little hills by Diamond Bar, somewhere in that area. There's a lot of industry out here. All those white buildings on the left are just a lot of factories and warehouses and stuff. I'm surprised I haven't had more problems with my installation, considering how much crap I have installed in it, but it's been holding up pretty good, even with the betas. It's been doing really good. I've only had a little bit of a problem. So now we're turning northbound here. This is where the 57 freeway comes together with the 60. So we'll continue going northbound towards the big mountains up ahead. And we'll fly over basically right over the Pomona Bracket Field, which is a tiny little airport out there where a lot of general aviation does practice work and patterns. There's another little aircraft from the live traffic, so maybe that's just a little guy that's either practicing there at the Bracket Field or just passing through maybe. Alright, so now we'll make our turn westbound now. Following along the foothills here, I think we should, that's the 210 freeway right there. That we'll be following along towards Pasadena. So we should be passing right here through pretty much Azusa, Glendora, and Covina. I was just looking at the map right now, and that little mountain, the little hill that we just saw off my left wing when I looked over that way, it actually does show up on the terrain map on Google Maps. It's pretty cool. So this little canyon that we're gonna see over to my right, this one right there, it's actually the road that takes you up into the Azusa recreation area, which is Highway 39. And this right here on the right below us on our left, that's the Santa Fe Dam recreation area, which is, it's just basically a big open area of biking trails, and it has a little bit of a lake. You can rent paddle boats and go swimming there. And right there by our nose, that's a they do concrete, I guess, or something. There's a bunch of work that goes on in there. They're always working there. But that's a lot better in Orbx. You actually see a lot more detail on the Orbx one, this particular area. So now this is Azusa that we're going over right now. Probably coming up more on Monrovia actually now. That little hill that we're flying over there is Bradbury. This is so good. I can't recommend it enough. I mean, if anybody, you know, is on the fence about running any, like, oh, before I forget, that's the Rose Bowl right there in Pasadena. So I already skipped ahead a little bit through this area. Like I said, trying to cut out some of the parts. But yeah, like I was saying, if anybody's reluctant about flying or putting ortho, you know, or not getting into Orbx, this is definitely worth it. The whole package is 226 gigabytes, but it includes all of California. And then you would have to, if you want to make it look, you know, much better, you would add that Short Final Designs Global, which is about $30 in the org. There's Dodger Stadium right there. It's covered with trees, it looks like, but you could kind of see the parking lot. And then there's downtown LA, which is another one of the things that looks a lot better in Orbx, because the buildings are more custom made and they have reflections and they look more realistic, as true to life. So we're approaching the final part of our tour here. We're gonna make the right turn once again, going over Hollywood and the 101 freeway, and then we will make our final approach into Burbank. We're at the 24-minute mark here. We're gonna start our descent, coming up on this 101 freeway, like I said a little while ago. You could probably see Burbank way off in the distance up there. Maybe if I have the time, I will probably record another video, but I will disable FSD Global, and I will probably put the world objects to medium just to see what that looks like. So if you know, there's anybody that might not be able to run at full, you know, maximum number of world objects or even high, at least you get an idea of what you can expect. But that one I would probably try to make just a shorty, just to give you guys an idea of different areas, not an entire flight like this one. And the Hollywood sign is completely missing in this version of it. There is an antenna there, which is the antenna that's actually there in real life, but there's no Hollywood sign, unfortunately. So this is where the FSD Global really shines. As you're coming in for a landing, it is just totally packed with little buildings and houses and everything if you have the number of world objects on high or maximum. So that's what gives it really, really nice look, and you don't see the blurriness of the ortho underneath it. So hopefully you guys like this little tour here, and hopefully I was able to convince some of you to take the plunge and get some of this ortho on your systems. I do have the rest of the United States. Everywhere where I do not have Orbx, I did download all the Forkboy packages. I think the only one I need now is Louisiana and Wyoming. But I already filled up a 2 terabyte hard drive, and I have another 2 terabyte hard drive with SSDs with Orbx, and I have some backup files on there. But my goodness, sometimes I just wish I would have got the 4 terabyte SSD, but it's like almost $500, so I couldn't justify that right now. But thanks for joining me on this little tour. Hopefully you enjoyed it all. And hopefully it won't be another 2 to 3 weeks before I record my next video. If you guys have any things that you would like me to record, that would be great if you guys can put it in the comments or something, because sometimes I just run out of ideas of what to record, what to do, and it isn't until I come up with something that, hey, maybe this will be worth sharing, that I think about making a video about it. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.